I want to talk a little bit about your relationship with the legislature. That seems to be such a contention today in state government, in Illinois state government. How did you get along with the legislative leaders? How did they perceive you? Was there any attempt to establish a rapport with them?
Yes, there was an attempt. It failed. They didn't like me. I was a new kid on the block. They knew a lot more about state government than I did, they thought. And maybe they did in some respects. But I said in my first speech to the state legislature, Bernie, let's have a partnership. And you can go back and read that. I said, let's work together to accomplish things, the governor and the legislature. I hadn't been in office 2 weeks, and I sent my cabinet nominees over there to the Senate. And one of those was that wonderful lady, Mary Lee Leahy. And to use the word that is used in the floor of the House and the Senate, they tubed them. They defeated them. Unheard of to have that many cabinet nominees kicked out by the leaders of the House and the Senate. And that was a combine, to use John Cass's word, of the Chicago Democrats and the Republicans. They teamed up and they sent those people down the drain. They declared war on me. Now, what are you going to do, Bernie, when somebody declares war on you? Are you going to lay down and roll over? I'm not made that way. I am not made that way. And so I said, okay, you guys want to fight? Then let's fight.
Now, the President of the Senate was Bill Harris at the time, I believe, yes. And the Speaker of the House was Bob Blair. So you had a Republican legislature to start off with.
And then I changed that. I played a great part in changing that. In 1974, I went out there and campaigned hard, particularly downstate again, for my kind of people, and we won. We took control. The Democrats took control of both the House and the Senate. And you may remember that long fight over the speakership of the House.
Oh, yes.
And Daley put up Clyde Schote from deep southern Illinois. And Clyde, bless him, I just couldn't get along with Clyde. He was the old school wheel and deal. And I'm not a wheeler and dealer. Maybe I should have been more of a wheeler dealer, but, you know, Bernie, I'm just not a wheeler and dealer. And so I said to Mayor Daley, the guy doesn't keep his promises. So one morning after 99 ballots, Mayor Daley called me early one morning. He said, Gov, I was surprised. He'd never called me that before. He said, you were right. And I said, right about what, Your Honor? He said, that guy doesn't keep his word. He promised that he could deliver some Republicans and get himself elected a Speaker of the House. And he didn't keep his word. He didn't deliver them. So then he said to me, amazingly, he said, Dan, who's our candidate? And I said, Bill Redmond. And he said, okay. And Bill Redmond became Speaker of the House.
And the Republicans, I think, were voting for Bud Washburn from Morris, Illinois, over and over. Was that he was the Republican leader, I think, at the time?
I believe so. I'm a little hazy on that part of it.
And Cecil Partee became.
Yes, I had a good personal relationship. Cecil particularly would say to me every now and then, Dan, I wish I could help you, but I can't. And what, of course, he was referring to is the power of the Daley machine. He said, I just can't do it. I wish I could help you more.
When you ran again, they beat you. What do you think, what would you attribute the loss to, do you think? The work of the machine, or were there other factors involved that...
Well, let me start out by saying, Bernie, that I was not a successful candidate. And I'm a great believer in personal responsibility. It happened on my watch. I take responsibility for it. I lost. I didn't do the job that I should have done. I'll add to that the fact that I carried 94 counties of the 106 in the state. 94 counties I carried. I carried downstate with 74% of the vote. 74% of the vote I carried downstate. I lost that election in Chicago. That's where I lost it. And Daley's precinct captains got their vote out. I didn't have a field organization. I did not get my vote out. Before the election, Bernie, the survey showed it was 53-47. I was ahead 53-47. If it had been a general election, I would have won, clearly, but it was a primary. My people didn't get out. I didn't get them out, so I take part of the blame for that. But that's what happened. But thank God, downstate stayed with me.
When you think about the 4 years that you served the state of Illinois, what would you think your major accomplishments, and what are you most regretful about just those 4 years?
The major accomplishment is standing tall on ethics. If I'm remembered for anything, I know I'm remembered for the walk, and I know I'm remembered for fighting Mayor Daley. But if I can be remembered for anything, it's ethics, for standing tall, as I said, for setting standards to the maximum extent that I could in state government to get the ethical standards raised, to stop pay-to-play politics. That's what I want to be remembered for.